to Disambiguation. I'm your host, Michael Fawcett. Each week we interview experts in AI, generative AI, and business automation to help business leaders understand how to use these tools for the biggest business impact. In our show today, we look at the role of automation and AI in data management. I'm joined by Gaurav Pathak, VP of Product Management at Informatica. Welcome, Gaurav. So just to get this started, could you give us a little bit about yourself, talk about your role a bit at Informatica?
Sure, and thanks, Michael. Thanks for having me on your podcast today. I love to be here, talk about AI for data management. I lead product management here at Informatica for AI Initiatives and Metadata. I've been with Informatica for 10 years, working on products like the Cloud Data Governance and Catalog, Enterprise Data Catalog, Big Data Management Suite, etc. And before that, I've spent 10 years with Oracle. So I've spent almost all of my career in data and data management. We all live in exciting times. AI is upon us, and I think this is a great space to be in if you're doing data management now, given the new possibilities that AI provides.
Yeah, I mean, I think, obviously this whole podcast has really been focused around that and a bunch of my research. And I get excited when I think about the opportunities for businesses. And, one of the areas that I think is really is foundational for everything, of course, is the data. And so that's why I'm excited for us to dig into this a little bit and understand more about what you're offering and where you think that's going from a data management and an automation perspective as well. So maybe you could start by giving us a bit of an overview on Claire and its purpose and kind of how it sits in the Informatica portfolio.
Sure. Claire for us is Informatica's AI engine that provides, number one, productivity benefits to the data teams. These are data engineers, data analysts, data scientists, data stewards, data reliability engineers across these different functions working with data as their day-to-day jobs. And number two, providing data democratization benefits to business users. We in business who are working on our day-to-day jobs, we need data for everything. We need data for making new decisions. We need data for making predictions. And that's been one area where a lot of challenges have been there. So we started Claire as a project within Informatica all the way back in 2016 for these two benefits. And underlying all of this, our approach is to use our understanding of an organization's data assets to provide capabilities that provide these benefits to both of these different audiences. So there is a story about how we got into it, which is we've been in the metadata space for a very long time, more than 2 decades. Uh, Informatica is very is a data integration, data management company. We've been around for a very long time. We started as an ETL provider with software like Power Center, and then we started getting requirements from our users about how do we we're creating all these data pipelines that are moving data from applications into data warehouses like Teradata. How can we debug them? How can we understand them better? And we created tools for them. We called them super glue. These were for data engineers to be able to debug their pipelines, understand whether the data landed properly or not. And that was the first use of metadata for us within Informatica, right? And metadata is data about data assets itself. Like you may have a customer table that has all the data about your 100,000 customers, but the metadata about it is what are the different attributes of customers that you're interested in capturing. What is the freshness of this customer table? Were there any errors when the pipeline last ran? So that all you're getting in the report is the right customer data, and so on. So that's how we started. But about 2016, things were changing. There was this customer, big healthcare provider, and then they were here at Informatica's offices, and they were talking about their problem, and it was very interesting. They were talking about how they have these 20,000 plus known databases within their organization, and they had no idea what was inside of them, right? And every time somebody is asking, "Oh, where is my patient data, or where is my claims data, where is my X data, Y data?" They had no way to point them to, okay, this is the right database to go to.
Mhm.
So for us, that was a big change. It was a new way in which we had to think about metadata. It was not just about, oh, these are the attributes, or this is for data engineers to debug their pipelines.
Mhm.
We started thinking about metadata as a way of users understanding what data assets they have, getting to them, finding, discovering,
Mhm.
governing, finding the right quality of those data sets, finding the quality of those data assets. I think that's where we realized metadata could play a big part,
Mhm.
and that's where Claire started. Because when we looked at those 20,000 databases, among all the good things of, there were 20,000 databases, the other thing that we found was that the things within those databases, tables, columns, views, and files, they were not named properly.
Mhm.
A table was containing patient data, maybe called tab underscore pat, or god for forbid file 1.csv. And the key ask from the folks was that when I'm searching for patient data, I should be able to get that tab underscore pat table or the file 1.csv.
Mhm.
So we started Claire as an engine that can fill in the gaps of an organization's metadata. We wrote
Mhm.
all these deep dive scanners, as we call them, that extracted this metadata from these databases. But then Claire properly started categorizing them, labeling them, saying that,
Mhm.
oh, this data looks like patient data, or this table looks like it contains PII data because it has first names, last name, addresses.
Mhm.
And that's where Claire started. And of course, from
Mhm.
there, we evolved it into doing a lot more, for all these.
And is that the what you called, I think, the intelligent metadata driven engine, and that I think is a differentiator from what I've seen, at least in the data management space. So, how does that, from a AI machine learning technology, how does that help with the data quality?
We For us, I think there are three big differentiators for us as far as Informatica is concerned. Number one, like we talked about, our understanding of an organization's metadata, because we spent a lot of time in making sure that automated processes like Claire, like our scanners, are able to understand or organize a customer's data set as a metadata knowledge graph.
Sure.
Second, our differentiation comes from our more than 3 decades now experience in data management projects. So we understand what data quality looks like, how
Mm.
data pipelines look like, what a data governance project looks like, and being able to train our AI and now large language models on those is a differentiator. And finally, in the cloud, intelligent data management cloud is our offering. That's the offering that most of our customers use now. That has all the capabilities required for data management, whether it is
Mm.
cataloging, governance, marketplace, quality, integration. So
Mm.
marrying all these three together, I think, brings in the differentiation for Informatica. I think it's very hard to get. Like with data quality, the question you asked, data quality is a hard problem. It is a problem that where things can go wrong at multiple levels, right from where you are observing these data sets, uh, all the way down to where you are trying to use this data in data science pipelines for training and validation.
Sure.
So for us, being able to understand, okay, this is the particular concept that we are dealing with. We may be dealing with customer churn. We may be dealing with fraud. We may be dealing with
Mm.
predicting, any of the things that AIs can predict today. But
Sure.
for us, being able to say this is what we're dealing with, and um, these are the right data quality rules that have to be created for it. So
Mm.
again, metadata comes into play. We look at, let's say, a file called file1.csv with multiple columns. You can say, okay, this column looks like an address uh,
Mm.
uh, data set,
Sure.
and if there's an address, then we try to find if there is a zip code, and zip codes should match the street addresses.
Mm.
We automatically run those data quality rules based on that metadata.
Hmm.
Claire does that and then automatically creates those data quality scores. That's how we have that.
No, that makes sense. So I know you talked about intelligent data management cloud, and I know recently you announced some additions in the generative AI world. So Claire GPT, I think, was one, and then I believe you also had an assistant or a co-pilot like offering. So how does that elevate the functions of this intelligent data management cloud?
Sure. Intelligent data management cloud. As I said, we've been in the AI business and AI for data management business since 2018. It was not as cool as it is today. Like everybody's talking about AI because of
Right.
generative AI, right? But we over that period brought about 20 plus capabilities in intelligent data management cloud. Those include things like automated data quality, the example that I was giving you, automated data
Sure.
pipelines, automatically doing entity matching, and so on. But with generative AI, we now have more possibilities of what we can do with data management, especially in the user experience side,
Mm.
where being able to understand what the user is trying to do, whether it is to create a new data quality rule, whether it is to generate a new pipeline, whether it is to create a new master data record, and then having all the software work for them in the context of the project, the data management
Mm.
project that they are doing. I don't think generative AI is still at a place where it can do entire jobs on its own.
Right.
It still requires a lot of human hand holding, right? It does not excel at multiple things. We'll talk about that. But right now, being able to, it's still even at its early stages, right? It came out, ChatGPT came out in November of last
Yeah.
year. It's only been less than a year, and we can already see a lot of potential in
Mhm.
how we can use generative AI for generating data management code automatically, being able to do all these data management tasks. So that's what ClaireGPT is about,
Mm.
right? And then we are going to release the first version of that product early next year. It's already in private preview with some of
Sure.
our customers as well.
Well, I mean, you talked about the whole idea, the whole concept around democratizing the way that companies can use their data. So, I mean, obviously, the data scientist, data quality, all of that is a function. But from the other end of it, from the end user end of it, I wonder because certainly a GPT engine can be much more conversational and really let you use natural language to interact with things. Is that a part of this idea? Does it really become more of a front end tool also, so that you can open this up to more users and give them more capabilities?
Absolutely. That's one of our goals where we want users to be able to use natural language and
Mm.
talk to their data assets like they would talk to a data analyst or a data engineer to get them answer to a question that
Right.
they're looking for. But of course, it's a hard problem. Before all of this existed, before generative AI, we provided these business users, softwares, self-service BI tools like Power BI or Tableau and other tools
Mm.
for them to be able to make sense of data. But what we didn't provide them was information about the data assets itself, right?
Mm.
Is this the right data asset for doing your self-service BI analysis? And and what that resulted in is, we called it jokingly data brawls, right? Which is that two people coming in the same meeting
Mm.
arguing about the same metric because they used something totally different or so those data brawls existed in the old world. Uh, I think we need to be careful that with generative AI, it does not become LLM brawls from here because
Yeah.
LLM get uh, access to incorrect data or bad quality data, right?
Sure.
We can already see some of those with things like hallucinations. If it does not know,
Mm.
it tries to hallucinate, makes it up. So it's already bad at getting to actual values. So for us, it's important that use of generative AI, when we bring it to the enterprise, it's still is in the context of trusted, high quality data that
Mhm.
everybody can agree on is the right way.
Sure. No, that makes sense. From the other side of this too, I mean, obviously you're offering an assistant, and I assume that that also is something that helps the data scientists and other data professionals in your business interact with that data in a more effective way as well. Is that correct? I mean, is it tie for both ends, both the user and the data team?
Yes, our goal is for data teams for them to be able to create the first drafts of
Mhm.
their data management artifacts. So if it's a data engineer, for them to be able to create a first draft of their data pipeline. If it's a data quality steward, for them to be able to create a data quality rule. If it's a data analyst, being able to understand the data, explore the data before they use it in the report.
Mhm.
We think it's still the first draft and not the entire task, because we don't think
Right.
generative AI is there yet where you can create the perfect pipeline or the perfect data quality rule just by natural language
Sure.
interaction. So first you create that, and then you tinker with it within our made to the user experience tools within intelligent data management
Mhm.
cloud. And for business users to be able to come to ClaireGPT and ask questions like, how many customers did we get for product X in quarter
Mhm.
three? And for having ClaireGPT understand, number one, what is this query all about? What are the data assets I can go to get the answer? Checking whether the users have permissions to
Mm.
that as well. Otherwise, I could have asked the question, "What is Gaurav's salary?" and everybody will be disappointed. Right. So
Yep.
being get that in, and all of these together to answer that question, I think that's what is our goal with ClearGPT.
Yeah, that I mean, that really does change the way you can interact with the data, and it kinda takes it out of just the idea of reporting, right? Because you're really talking about on demand, and it meets the need of, "This is what I'm trying to solve right now," or, "I'm trying to make a decision right now." So that sounds really powerful from a user perspective particularly. One of the things that I've seen as I've talked to other different enterprise application vendors is there's two really distinct approaches to how they're using those large language models. And I know that for some companies they've been very closed. So they've been very focused on maybe one partner, or integrating with their own language model or whatever it might be. And then for other companies, they've taken a much more open approach so that you can pick the language model that suits what it is you're trying to do, and you could do multiple language models if there were different functions. So I'm curious about how you're approaching that from Informatica's perspective around the large language models, and how you're interacting with them, and which ones you support.
Sure. For us, Claire GPT is a mixture of experts model. So
Mm,
it's more like the second approach that you described, Mike.
sure.
It's about using these smaller open source language models for the specific task that we are going after. And Claire GPT, for example, in version one will support four use cases, which is data discovery, finding where my data
Mm,
assets are, exploring the metadata and understanding what this file is all about, what's the data quality of something,
mm,
where is this data coming from, data discovery, answering a question, what's my customer churn for Q3 for product X,
mm,
and number four is creating new ELT data pipelines. Now,
mm,
all these four use cases have a dedicated large language model for them. Right now, we are looking at we are using actually OpenAI for the
mm,
two use cases that are currently in private preview: discovery and metadata explore. But we're also training our own open source large language models like Llama 2,
Llama,
models like
yeah.
Mistral 7 billion parameter model, which came out a few weeks ago, and is great at the kind of smaller use cases that we've divided the problem into. So our approach is to first provide state of the art, fine tuned open source model for that particular task: discovery, metadata, explore.
Mm.
etc. And then eventually, even allowing customers or partners to plug in their own models, which may know more about their data because we've not trained it on specific customer data sets as well. So that's where we are going with ClaireGPT.
Mm. So it strikes me, and I, obviously, again, talking to a lot of different vendors and how they've approached this. Um, how because you are using customer data, so I'm sure there's some concern around security and privacy issues. So how do you approach that in your in the way you've implemented this?
Absolutely. And uh, Informatica sells to Fortune 50, Fortune 100, Fortune 2000 companies.
Yep.
Most of them are financials and healthcare who are very, very secretive about their data.
Sure.
So uh, that concern is top of mind of all of our customers.
Mm.
Is my data getting sent to third party vendors who may not be as uh, prudent
Careful.
uh,
Careful. How about careful?
with their data, right? So, and the security and compliance teams in these organizations are shutting down a lot of generative AI projects
Mm,
for that, right? They just are they're not they don't trust the current user agreements, user license agreements for a lot of these
right.
generative AI providers. So for us, when we look at generative AI capabilities, we cannot send data to a third party provider. We cannot even
Right.
send metadata sometimes to third party providers, like the customer attributes itself,
Mm,
because that may be specific to the customer. Our goal is then, let's say when somebody is doing a data discovery, when somebody is asking, what are the data sets I can use to calculate customer churn?
mhm,
At that point, we take that natural language query, we convert it into a graph query for our catalog, which is where we store all of the metadata to find out where the customer churn data sets are. That's the only use for large language models. It takes the
mm,
query, converts it into a graph query for the catalog to understand,
sure.
and then the graph query is launched against the customer's catalog. No data metadata is exchanged
Mm.
as part of this process, and we are doing the same thing for discovery, metadata explore, all of the different layer GPT modules. So yes, all of this is top of mind for us. We don't want to store the prompts, we don't want
Sure.
to learn from any of the metadata or data that customers provide. That's really our that's why the customers will choose Informatica over startups who may do otherwise.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, for especially the industries that you mentioned, that's going to be a key differentiator and a very important one, both privacy and a security issue as well. So that makes sense. Um, so a couple months ago, I did a AI adoption survey and study we published, and the number one challenge in preparing data for AI was listed as data quality, and we talked a little bit about that earlier. But I want to dig into that a little bit more in the context of master data management solutions and data quality solutions. How does Claire's ability to analyze those data patterns assist in identifying those quality issues, and then making sure that that it is accurate, that it is consistent?
Sure. And we'll start with the generative AI part and then go into more
Yeah.
more details of this as well. We looked at what is generative AI good for today, and maybe how it will become how it will change within the next 6 months, because
Mm,
predicting any time frame beyond 6 months is becoming more and more challenging nowadays with the new stuff arriving in generative AI at very fast pace. So generative AI today good at summarization, code generation, doing tasks rather than jobs, right? And there is limited reasoning capabilities that we are starting to see emerge. What is it bad at? It is bad at planning things, bad at consistently doing one task in the same way that it was doing before, core
mm.
mathematics, also PR, right? While it is bad at all these things, people are convinced that it will be end of us, right? So definitely needs a better PR. We want to use generative AI and organizations want to use generative AI so that it complements all the different data assets that they have gathered, that we have gathered as well. For most organizations, generative AI is the top of mind, right? And you can't do generative AI without you have good data to go with it,
Yep.
uh, right? And that includes the quality problem that you described. Like if I'm getting a lot of sensor data, but a particular thing is going wrong because of which one particular dimension is not coming, it's all null. Then if we try to train the AI with that sensor data, it will
Mm.
not function well. That is
Right.
understood. But at the same time, there is also data privacy challenges. Uh, these uh, these large language models are basically compressed data in
Mm.
in a format that allows it to do reasoning. But once a large language model knows a certain fact, it's very difficult for us to make it forget it. So if a sensitive data fact goes into a large language model, Gaurav Pathak salary or something else, it's hard for it to forget that. And somebody asking
Mm.
that question will get to know that fact, right?
Yep.
So being able to make sure that your data does not contain that sensitive information, not only for yourselves but your customers' sensitive data, that has become top of mind
Mm.
for organizations as well. And then all the governance related capabilities of, it should, the training data should be bias free. We need to make sure that all the training data's lineage is established. Who is the owner? Where did this data come from? Who's responsible for freshness of this data, etc. So all of these are key important facets that we're looking at from Informatica. We are looking at data quality has been a mainstay at what we have done since the
Sure.
last 20 years, but we've seen a revival in interest in data quality over the last 1.5 years.
Mm.
People want to be able to create data quality rules, some by hand, some wanting AI to create it for them. We support both of those modalities. And data privacy, we acquired a company called Privitar
Mm.
in actually maybe 1.5 months ago. That's where we announced it, and we are now looking at integrating some of those capabilities that I was talking
Mm.
about, removing sensitive data from unstructured text, and being able to create policies for access management will be key, and then data governance as well. So all of this will become center stage in the generative AI world, Mike, and I think more and more interest
Mm.
in the next few months.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's interesting because certainly there was a time when we spent a lot of time talking about master data management and data quality, but then it seems like over the years we haven't really focused around that. But now, with that explosion of generative AI type solutions, it really does highlight the importance of that and ensuring that the quality's there, but then also ensuring that the right things are in the right place in your business and that the things don't cross and get in the wrong place, right? So it's extremely important from a governance perspective. So that's great. Um, so you talked about one acquisition that you've just done, and so that makes me think about, where do you think this is going? So what do you think the future for Claire is like? New features, integrations, maybe, and then also just as a second question, what do you think is happening from an AI machine learning perspective that could also add a lot of new capabilities, or enhance, some of the current capabilities in the offering over the next couple of years?
Sure. For us, our vision for ClaireGPT includes ClaireGPT becoming the de facto interface from which all data and data management tasks start. Whether I'm asking a data exploration question, what was my product's revenue in quarter three, to being able to create data pipelines, creating data
Mm.
quality rules. For us, that to be the front and center interface for intelligent data management cloud, right, allowing you to create first drafts of your data management artifacts and then going to the individual tools to perfect it, tinker with
Mm.
it. We want it to have runtime and FinOps capabilities, being
Mm.
able to understand what are the different decisions to optimize when you're creating a data management artifact. So you can create a data pipeline in a way in which you get the best performance, uh,
Mm.
right? But it may come at a very high cost, because you are optimizing performance at that scale, or you may want to optimize cost for it. You're okay if it runs the entire weekend, and on Monday you get a good report. So you're not should come at low cost. So being able to take those kind of human preferences, and generate the data management artifacts
Mm.
based on that, and then of course expand on all these, for each of these different capabilities that we have in intelligent data management cloud, making ClaireGPT the de facto assistant, the Jarvis to the Iron Man,
Mm.
where you are able to ask it to do things, and it's able to do a lot of what you want on its own, and then being able to, then you can provide the right guidance to finish the task. Like in master data management, we acquired another company that was in 2020. It was a company called Green Bay. It was out of University of Madison, Wisconsin,
Mhm.
and then provided us AI-based entity matching capabilities, allowed us to figure out in really large data sets what two entities are the same, deduplication and things like that. And we have since then integrated that technology into our intelligent data management cloud already available. But then from ClaireGPT being able to say, okay, this is the data set, go ahead and remove all duplicates from it,
Mm.
and making it as easy as that. Right? So that's where we want to take
Mm.
ClaireGPT, uh, being the data assistant, comprehensively address all the different data management capabilities that we have in intelligent data management, or being the front and center place for starting data management tasks as well.
Sure. No, that's very interesting, and certainly, as I've learned about different offerings from different companies, this idea of transitioning to the natural interface or user experience is a powerful one, and I think an exciting one. And if you're an old school Star Trek fan, the episode where they go back in time to the Earth and Scotty's talking to the computer mouse and he's very frustrated. It seems like we're finally now going to get to the point where we can talk to the computers and have them respond and do things for us, which is pretty amazing, actually. So,
So it is, and then to me, that directed data, I think, was the personification of all things structured, that it understood and was able to take the right decisions. So yes, old school Star Trek for sure.
exciting stuff. Well, that's all the time we have today. So, first of all, I really thank you, Graf, for joining me today and helping us understand a bit more about data and data quality and data management. Pretty exciting times there. But before I let you go, one of the things that I like to ask everybody who comes on the show is, could you recommend somebody, a thought leader, an author, some mentor that's influenced your career that you think would be important for the audience to be exposed to, and that they could learn from?
Oh, absolutely. And since we're talking about AI, I'll talk about a few folks in this area who are doing really good job in. I think, as we were talking about earlier, there are a lot of naysayers about AI. So
Mm.
one of the voices of reason I find in all of this noise is Jan Lidekun. He is head of AI research at Meta,
Mm.
and he's responsible for some of the open source large language models like Llama 2 and others. I think he has a very good balanced take on
Mm.
what AI can do for us, and dangers of AI as well. Along with him, there are a lot of people in the open source world who are doing a really great job in
Mm.
making AI available to a lot of us. One of them is, this I'll call him a hacker, uh, Georgy Greganov, and he
Mm.
has this. He has this tool called llama.cpp, which basically quantizes these large language models
Mm.
and allows you to run it on your MacBooks. And he's he has done a great job, over the past few years to making this possible. And then on AI applications side, Andre Karpathy, who's who's a ex Tesla, right, and he has done a lot of AI applications and a lot of AI teachings as well. All these three people and the open source community supporting all the work that they have done. I think we have them to thank for all the good things we're seeing in AI.
Sure. Yeah, that's great. Thank you. I really appreciate it. And I just want to thank you again for joining. It's been a pleasure and very educational. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike. Thanks for having me.
And that's the show for this week. Thank you all for joining. Remember to hit that subscribe button. And for more on AI and other software research reports and posts, check out the arionresearch.com/blog and /research reports. And don't forget to join us next week. I'm Michael Fawcett, and this is the Disambiguation Podcast.